the Awaken Your Ego podcast with Joann and Ariana. We are a health podcast that explores topics to do with biohacking and self-discovery.
We are also on the self-discovery journey, and we want to attract listeners that are doing the same in order to help them realize they're not alone.
Ego differs from conventional medical spas and wellness centers. We believe that the secret to maximizing one's sense of self is in addressing the entire person, inside and out. We provide state-of-the-art aesthetic treatments as well as lifestyle management and holistic health solutions. We aim to please with our efficient and friendly customer service and guarantee with our scientifically proven alternative therapies and lifestyle optimizations that every patient will leave our care with a boosted ego. Our goal is to help our patients realize the necessity of self-care and to encourage them to prioritize their health and wellness goals. When we make self-care and confidence a priority, then we're able to bring to light our potential for happiness and growth. This podcast is a way to expand our reach so that we are able to spread the word on the importance of self, the whole self, inside and out.
This podcast is for educational purposes only. Please reach out to your medical provider if you have questions about any of the treatments we discuss to see if it's a right fit for you. Now on to our show. Okay.
Hey there, welcome to our Awaken Your Ego podcast. And today we're going to be doing a new little segment. It's going to be called Girl Talk. And it's going to be a little bit more opinion based. And we're excited to just kind of review, topics that interest us. And we're going to bring in Brenna in.
Hey y'all.
Welcome, Brenna.
Welcome.
Glad to be here. I'm actually here every time. I'm just participating.
For those who don't know, Brenna's our behind the scenes gal. She's our camera girl. She's our fluffer. She makes sure everything is flowing. So we are so happy to have Brenna here because we feel like she's also very interesting to talk to. And I feel like she will add a lot to this podcast, right?
Yeah.
Just a talker probably. So I may have to edit out my own talking.
Well, and today we're going to be addressing some dating myths.
Whoa.
For February.
So we have a list of common dating myths that we want to talk about. We want to either agree, disagree, give our opinions on it.
I have been married for about 9 years, almost 10. Dated for a few years before that. I have 2 children that are 5, almost 4. Or wait, I have.
Do you want me to intro you?
Okay. Because Sage is turning 5. I was just talking to Gavin how I was confused how old they each are. I keep thinking Jude is 4. Okay. I am Brenna. I have been married for almost 10 years, about 9 years. I have 3 kids. I have a 15-year-old stepdaughter and a 4-year-old and a 3-year-old. So that is where I am at in the dating scene. Have not been in it for quite some time.
But you might be close with the 15-year-old.
True, I do. It is fun.
And all girls too.
Mm-hmm. All girls. So I got to get caught up.
So I am Joann. I am divorced. I've actually been divorced for about 5 years. So I am a single parent. I have a 7-year-old daughter. I am in the dating world, just kind of tiptoeing my way in, as it is very different nowadays. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
And I'm Ariana. I've been married for 10 years, going on 11. I have a 7-year-old and a 9-year-old.
That's crazy. He's 7.
It's like unreal how old my kids are. But anyways, back to dating.
Yes. Okay. So we wanted to start with the first myth debunked. Is it okay to date someone out of your league?
I think it depends.
On the
And
guy
what
or the
does
girl?
out of your league mean? I guess for me, I never feel like anyone's out of my league.
Oh, dang girl. Confidence.
I'm just saying, like, I never...
What does that even mean?
I actually think dating out of your league, like you said, it is like so relative, like what is out of your league, right? Mm-hmm. But I think it's almost like if you feel like you're not a match to the person that you're dating, I think that's actually probably the bigger issue. And not necessarily like, oh, they're so much more good looking than me, but it's like, if you feel inferior to a partner, I do think there's like big issues there.
100%. I'm like, it sounds like there's more self-work that needs to be done before dating.
I think growing up, just hearing that term, it was more of like, they're better looking than me or than you know? So I think that just kind of goes with the individual person of like, do you feel confident in yourself to where, you know, you feel like you're worthy of this person or not, you know?
Exactly.
But I think that's just originally how I always saw it, was just like a physical thing. But we could totally get like more in depth with it.
And I've definitely dated guys that I felt like were like very good looking, right? Like who I think other women thought were like classically good looking. But I also found that like, at some point in dating, it was like, who cares?
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. That physical aspect, very important. Making sure you're attracted to your partner, very important. But I also think there's like a lot of people out there who are really good looking. And it's like, where's your personality though?
Yeah.
Like 100 times, personality is super important.
Yeah. I can probably say the last person I dated was like a beautiful shell, just like that. Great to look at. But yeah, when it came to the inside, it was just like, oh, there's so much missing. So I think with that, it's like you can be as good looking as they come, but if you really lack that inside, it just it kind of makes you ugly. Like,
True that.
you know,
Well, and even,
that means so
I
much
feel like
more.
For me, there was one time I dated this guy, and he just felt like, almost like, and this is weird saying it, but like too good. It's almost like, I feel like the way that we live and the trajectory of our life and like the pace, I'm like, it doesn't feel like I fit in here. And so kind of, it didn't work out. You know what I mean? But
Too good, like too perfect?
No, like goody good. It's like, he like wouldn't listen to certain songs on the radio and like all this stuff. And I'm just like, whoa, like this is not a match. Like you're too high strung in these random aspects that I don't respect. And so I'm like, this can't, there's no long term here.
I love that you said that you don't respect, not that.
I mean it.
No, I know what you mean. Is like you're literally just meaning like they're not important to me.
They're
Like
the small stuff.
like
Yeah,
you're
I'm like,
these things like aren't like values to me. And I think that's the issue. It's like our value systems don't really align. Whereas like, or even like, I won't say this, but I feel like even people who like care too much about their appearance, I probably am more on the sloppy side, to be honest. I mean, when it comes to my appearance.
But you have that natural beauty though, you know, you don't even try and you're still pretty.
When I've always felt like I was a good looking person, I didn't think I was ever like, ugly duckling or anything like that. But I do feel like it was never like, oh, but I'm like beautiful wasn't like my tag, I guess.
Yeah.
I think I am beautiful, but it's like not my foot I lead with, I guess. If that makes sense. So I feel like other people who lead with that, I'm like, yeah, we're not on the same
it's too
page.
important to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I guess the answer is to aim for someone who vibes with you.
100%.
Okay. So let's go on to number 2, dad bods. How do we feel about them? Yay.
I'm married to a daddy.
Zaddy.
And
How is his bod?
very I'm mom bod. He is a dad bod. So I'm into it.
On a daily basis, she's into it.
Well, you know what's funny is that when I was younger, I always thought like, and we've talked about this before, even just like sexuality and like how I thought when I was younger, like that's when you're the most attractive and you got this like nice hot bod and everything is nice, whatever. And now I realize, the more I'm married, it's like, no, actually sex is way better. And it has more to do with that connection and intimacy with a person versus like the body. But I also, early in my marriage, my husband had some really like crazy health issues to where like that attraction, like we had to get over that real quick. Like 6 months after we were married, he got like full on kidney failure. He gained 70 pounds in 2 weeks of just pure water weight.
Oh, it's wild.
Which was like wild. So his body was no longer like, we had to see each other it was like that wasn't important. I mean, it's like survival.
I feel like when you're young, that's the only thing you're looking for is like who's hot, who's attractive. And I feel like as you get older, you start to realize like who's going to be a good dad, who's going to be a good provider, who's going to be on a teammate with me. And those things kind of become way more important than the physical aspect. And even for me, having kids was very hard, mentally, emotionally, just like your body is fully transformed. So I felt like I went through this like transformation over and over again every time you have a kid or there's a big shift. And it's like I expected him to kind of also do the same. And so I feel like finding ways to be attracted to a partner that has nothing to do with physicality is going to be the ultimate like goal.
Yeah.
But Joann, you are in the single dating game, so I feel like you probably have more of a preference because I feel like obviously like I love my husband, so our body changes. Like I'm like, yeah, they exist. But when dating, like, what's your
like? Is that a no go if someone's a little out of shape?
A little chunks? Not necessarily. I mean, it's not to say that I'm super shallow, but the way that I see it is more so like I like to take care of my body. I'm a disciplined person. So, you know, I have my reasons to take care of myself. So I can appreciate a male who kind of does the same or has that same type of self-appreciation.
I think we all appreciate them for sure, girl. Like, no question.
But to where it becomes a standard, kind of. I mean, but not necessarily, because I was married. And he was fit, but, you know, he wasn't like perfect, and that's okay. You know, I think it's more so of like, do you care to take care of your body?
Yeah.
You know, because I couldn't be with like a dad bod who's like, you know, not doing anything,
like
sitting on the couch, embracing it, couch potato. You know, that's where I'm like, no, we got to draw the lines. Like, you don't have to be like super, super fit, but you have to care. Yeah.
So it's not like, you know, price of admission, like you have to have like
a 6-pack.
You don't have to have a 6-pack, but I mean, some muscles
I think
that
health
are
and
visible
wellness is generally important to you.
will catch my attention.
See, and I think for me, like, totally. It's like I want to be healthy and live a long time. I want to be able to do fun things like hiking and going on adventures, and it's like I want someone that could do that with me. And it's not, I think activity and being on the kind of same page with your activity level, I think, is more important than necessarily like how your body looks just at a glance.
But it is nice when you have a nice body to look at. So
yeah. I mean, I don't know. Some women are really into like bigger dudes.
True.
Yeah.
I feel like as long as he can pick me up. Like,
I was going to say that.
You know what's funny? I don't necessarily... Like, I actually... Like, my husband's, like, taller than me for sure, but I wouldn't say he's, like, a big, like, tall dude. Like, big dude.
Yeah.
I wouldn't either. For you.
But I'm saying that, but that has never really been my type either. It's like a really, like, buff, strong dude. Not my type.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's like a difference.
I'm also kind of a heavy girl too, you know. Well, I feel like that, you know. I got muscles, so it's like, yeah. Well, that's just too, because it's like I think I would prefer a little bit more hefty versus too thin.
Yeah.
To where I feel like, okay, like, you know,
Cushion for the pushing.
Yeah. Can you lift me? Can you lift me?
Okay.
Okay. Next.
All right, so moving on to number 3. Women like bad boys. Is this true?
I mean, honestly,
history has shown.
I don't think so. For me personally, like I don't need an edgy like bad boy to entice me or attract me.
Do you feel like when you were younger you did though?
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm more about energy. I'm more of like, hey, you have a cool vibe. We mesh. Like, let's figure this out. To me, it's more about that, like the presence that's there and like our connection. So it's like the bad boy thing is always like, what's going on? Like, why are you getting in trouble or doing weird off the cuff things? To me, I know it's common.
What if it's not bad boy, but troubled boy?
Mm-hmm. See, because I was thinking about this
because I think that
I'm a mommy. I want to take care of someone. At least when I was younger, it was like, for sure.
Okay, so I was thinking about this earlier of like, where did my attraction for bad boy come from? Think about when you were a child.
And you're thinking like true bad boy, like when you think bad boy,
like what is bad boy to you?
Yeah. Well, when I was a kid, you know, I'm thinking Disney, Aladdin, right?
It's not bad.
He was a thief. He was still naughty. You know what I mean? It's like, okay.
I love it.
I liked it. Ooh, you know what I mean? And then Beauty and the Beast. Yeah, he had a nice bod too. Beauty and the Beast. She's this beautiful girl. He's this guy who's like so,
Jealous
you know.
all this time. Troubled.
Exactly. So something, I don't know, maybe for me, it was just like these little influences.
He is a hottie though.
So it's Disney's fault.
Disney.
Think about even like Tangled. Like, I mean, I feel like a lot of like classic too. He's a bad boy.
Technically.
He's a thief.
So when you put it that way.
But I think like there's memes all over Instagram that's like, oh yeah, so what? He doesn't have a job and he has kids and, you know, but he's 6'4" and he has tattoos. Like, let me try. It's like, I feel like that is a common like myth out there or like desire for whatever.
I feel like
reason.
lately. Yeah.
Well, and I think what you're saying, like the mommy thing of like wanting to take care of someone and take care of a man, I think that was definitely like probably something I was attracted to when I was younger of like, oh, but I get, no one gets him like I get him. It's like, almost like special, right? Like we have this special connection. And like, yeah, he's not for everybody. Like he's for me. Like I've definitely fallen into that, like, you know, whatever, mommy stuff, which is probably more like codependence, whatever. I like talked about it in therapy. Okay, I get it. But like the bad boy of like someone who's like, you know, driving fast, or I don't know what I would consider a bad boy, but I'm not a bad boy kind of girl.
I think it's just more of like the way that a guy can carry himself, kind of like, oh, I don't care. I mean, you should care, but you know, it's just like.
I think confidence is the most attractive.
Yes.
Thing. When someone, no matter what their style is or whatever group they fit in, it's like if they can like just do things unapologetically, like whether it's their outfit choice or, you know, any decisions they're making, I'm like, ooh, okay. Yeah. Like you're confident in what you're doing and you don't care if someone's like making fun of you or belittling you. It's like, to me, that's like the most attractive.
I agree.
I feel like I'm attracted to men who kind of like do their own thing.
And I think that's what a lot of bad boys kind of carry.
Yes.
You know, if we're looking at it like at large, it's like they have that confidence of like, I don't care. Like I do X, Y, and Z. Like this is me.
Well, I think it might be better as women don't like good boys.
Which is not true either.
Well, no, that's what I'm curious. Like, what do you guys feel about guys? Like you were saying that guy was too good, or maybe prioritized things that you didn't feel like were as important, like didn't match your value system. But I do think I've dated men that I'm like, yeah, we don't, like you're too good. Like the music, like you're just.
But is it like too good as in a sense of boring?
Probably a little bit of that.
It's just too, I think it's too safe.
Too predictable.
Too safe.
Yeah.
I like
too PG.
Yeah, I'm like, I want, you know.
something rebellious.
Yeah.
So it looks like you
little
guys want like bad boys.
I guess I like bad boys. Like, what is going on?
Okay, Aladdin.
Okay. I'll make you like a mug or something with his face on it. That's hilarious.
Because I do think it's like there's a thing with like safety and security like that feels like boring, which I think probably speaks more to our family systems, what we think is like exciting, but it's like,
for sure,
why do we need chaos? Like, why was that something I ever felt like? And I feel like at this age, like being a mom in my 30s, I'm like, I don't want crazy. Like, I do want stability. I want safety, security. Not that I need someone to take care of me in that way, but someone who feels like a safe place to me.
Well, someone that's showing up consistently too.
Yeah.
I think that's huge.
So interesting. That's a good one.
All right. So moving on, playing hard to get. I like this one.
I'm all for it.
Me too.
I like the chase. I love that. I love that, like, talking, getting to know each other. Wait, why isn't he answering my text messages? Like, that, like, anticipation, I think, is really attractive. Even in a marriage, I feel like leading up to whether it's sexuality and, like, an intimate connection or even just throughout the day, I feel like that feels, like, fun and exciting still.
I hate that.
I agree. Oh, no, I like it.
No, I hate it. No, I'd say like the anticipation part, and even I feel like when I was dating, I definitely like didn't want to let people see me bleed. It definitely like, played it close to the chest. But I like when I met Gavin, what I loved about it, it was so easy and we were so attracted to each other, and like just like we would text each other all the time. Where it felt nice. Like it was like, oh, like we're not playing games. Like we just like really like each other, and it's like very straightforward. And even like having that like boyfriend conversation, it was like, yeah, like we're dating. Like we talk to each other all the time. What else would you call this? So I feel like if I ever did it, I don't like the playing hard to get. It's like just
you like that.
What are your intentions? Dude, you're down? Not down?
Like
cool.
I like the intention being out there and the feelings being transparent. Like I'm all for that. Like if I like you, you're gonna know I like you, you know, kind of thing, whether it's a friend or like a more intimate relationship. But I do feel like Cody played that card and it totally worked.
Oh, easy.
Like kind of, just wasn't super obsessive, wasn't answering every text. I was like, damn, okay.
Yeah.
Like, I guess I gotta work for this.
See, because that's kind of how I see it. It's like there has to be a little work for it, you know? And for me, I feel like, hey, I'm confident in what I provide in a relationship. I'm not confident about the other person.
Yeah.
So and you know how hard you're gonna work.
Yeah, exactly. So I already know that. So for me, I like playing hard to get because it's kind of like a way to like have them prove themselves, like show me.
And I agree.
Are you willing to respect the boundaries? Are you willing to put in the time? Are you impatient? You know, I feel like you can see so much about a person just by having them wait or not giving them all the things very easily.
Well, and there was a Jay Shetty podcast and he was on like Call Her Daddy, like that podcast, and he was talking about how he's like, you know, sometimes I think we trust people too easily. He's like, it's okay to let people prove to you that they should be trusted before just gifting them that trust. And he's like, but in society, we're so like, yearning for, you know, acceptance and love, that it's like, oh, they showed me a little bit of attention. Okay, yeah, I trust you. I love you. Give me more. And it's like, and then you just want to be wrapped in that.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a really cool point and an interesting concept of like, when you're dating, like allow that person to show up as they are, not the fantasy. Don't believe the fantasy in your head of what they are.
Yeah.
Like they need to show you that over time, and vice versa. I mean,
we talked about this too, even just like people pleasing, of like, you know, sometimes like we overshare information because we want people to accept us. And I think it's like, instead of like, why do you feel the need to share everything and be accepted? I think it's a better question sometimes to ask of like,
when you can't force acceptance, it's like you have to allow them to do it on their own terms. You could put your whole life story out there and they're still going to have to make up their mind about you through transactional like conversation or interactions. It's like they're still going to have to establish what they think, just like you do, you know.
Yeah, and like earning that trust over time. And also I think being like selective about like what information you share with people that is like personal and private to yourself. And I like what you're saying of like, at least like, no, proving that like you want to be in this relationship with me by like, you know, having standards that you've set up for yourself, boundaries of like, hey, this is the price of admission to date me. But it's funny because like, to me, when you say that, I'm like, that's not even you playing hard to get. That's you being like, setting your boundaries and be like, hey, this is, and to me feels very upfront. Of like, no, this is like, if you want to be part of my life, like you have to prove that that is something you want to engage with because you have these standards. So it's funny because it's like, when you say that, it's like, that's not even hard to get. That should be like,
should be
like, we should all date that way, right? Like have boundaries and like healthy, like expectations for what we want out of a partner. And to me, that feels very straight up. Like that's what I think that's where it's like, I don't want to be confused about where I stand in our relationship. Like, I don't want to feel like, oh, like, do you like me? Do you not? Like, are we okay? Are we not okay? It's like, I want to know we're cool. Like, and I think even in marriage, any relationship, it's like, you want to know where you stand.
Well, and even something else in that podcast by Jay Shetty, I'll stop talking about it, but he was just saying how like even dating, like when he was dating his wife, he's like, I love taking her to these really expensive places. And he's like, I had no reason to do that. Like I couldn't afford that. I was showing up in a way that I thought she wanted to see, in a way that I wanted to be accepted. Hey, I'm a good provider. Hey, I can, you know, take you on adventures. He's like, you have to realize the mask that you're kind of portraying for people too, and give yourself time for that to kind of die down so that it can be true acceptance of like you're a genuine person. Like I thought that was like really
like showing up as yourself. But I think
because dating can be confusing. Like you are putting your best foot forward. You're dressing nice. Like you are doing activities. It's not always, it doesn't always feel like what real life will feel like with that person, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, I think too, one thing that I feel really grateful for, even just my husband, all this health issues, like literally 6 months after we got married, was like, I think I realized early on, it's like, you know, you can have a good honeymoon with a lot of people. Like the honeymoon, like going, like we went to Thailand for a month. Me and my husband had a great time, but I could do that with a lot of people and have a really good time. And I think with marriage, it's like, I really felt like, no, you really want to choose someone that you're going to have the hardest times with, like that you want in your corner when things go sideways. And I felt like, you know, we had each other's back, like in that moment that really felt like, oh no, this is like the partnership that I really want. Because it was like, oh no, when shit goes sideways, like, she's got my back. I got his back. Like that to me was like, oh, this is what we like should always be looking for. Not because it's like when things are good, like you can have good times with a lot of people.
Yeah. No, that's true.
Good point. Anyway. All right. Moving on to the next one. Women tend to care more.
False.
Yeah.
About what?
Just in general, maybe it's an online question.
Well, I think it's like that's like a common misconception. I feel like with your partner, you should feel like you both care. Yeah, you know, care the same. But I think in society, it's like even as women, you're kind of brainwashed to think like you should care more, you should be doing more, and maybe that's my own opinion and prejudice, but. I feel like you should be with someone that you feel like cares as much as you. Like that should feel very equal. It shouldn't feel like one person's obsessed and the other one's like, do I want to be here? It's like, you should be on an even playing field, I guess. Yeah.
I feel like maybe they've said this because as women, we tend to be mothers and we're very nurturing,
and we're emotionally vulnerable.
Yeah. And we're used to kind of taking care of people. So, you know, maybe like that, it could be true, but I don't know. I feel like guys do care emotionally, but they don't know how to express it.
Yeah. I agree. Cause I feel like like, I agree with what you're saying, that even just like we have this nurturing sensibility about us that, you know, it's just we're more accepted to be more emotional beings. I think in general, I think men are just as emotional. It's just like we're a little more
in society. It's more
accepted, right? And then, like you said, I think women tend to take the role of like tending even to the relationship more, of like the health of the relationship, like checking in and being like, are we okay? Like, oh, like I feel like we're so used to, and maybe this is my mom perspective, right? Like my framework of like, I feel like I'm constantly thinking, what do my kids need? What do we need? Even like, okay, what do I need to be the best version of myself? What does our marriage need? Are we healthy? Are we okay? Like, it's like, and I think that's just like feminine energy by nature, is like checking in, making sure we're all good. So I think it's more the emotional labor of like, are we good? And so I don't even think it's like we care more. It's just like
we care different.
It's easy for us to slide into that role of being like, but I agree. Like, I feel like a lot of the men I dated were like way more emotional than me. And I was always like, why do they say like women are so emotional? Like every guy I've ever dated is like way more emotional than me.
100%.
And I think it's just because it's almost like those feelings, like how do we communicate how we feel? How to, like, it's just different.
Yeah.
Okay.
We need a man in here to like stand up for the the guys.
This is girl talk. It's fine.
Okay, next one. Opposites attract.
Totally.
I think so. Honestly, okay, so I'm always hit and miss with this one, but I feel like I am like completely different. But I think what I like is some opposition. Like, I like when someone has a different perspective or maybe something unique about them that I'm not used to, because I feel like it opens up my mind. You know, I feel like I love being stimulated to something new. I feel like it's just like interesting that way. And if someone were like so much like me, I feel like I would get bored, you know what I mean? Or like telling me things that I already know. I've realized that I actually tend to get annoyed, or like, you know what I mean? Like talking to someone and they're like telling me about muscles and how to build all that stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I know, I'm a health coach. You know what I mean? So it's like, I need something a little bit different.
So have you ever like dated like long-term someone who was either like really opposite you or really close to you? Like, or like, you know, where you felt like we are way too similar. Like, had a relationship with someone that was one of those?
So it was probably the same person.
Oh, really?
And this was who I was married to, my ex-husband. We were opposite because he was really emotional, like much more softer than I was. But at heart, I feel like I am emotional. I just wasn't that way at that time.
You weren't evolved.
I wasn't evolved. And so we were very similar because how we communicated, we were both really, like we would never really argue. We had similar interests. So it just was really easy that way, but also sometimes boring that way. I'm sorry, but, well, actually I'm not sorry because we're divorced now.
I'm just kidding.
But you know what I mean? It was just kind of like,
I feel like me and my husband are very much opposites, like in almost every aspect. Like he's tall, I'm short. Like it's like, in a lot of aspects, we're just very much opposite. But for me, it's like I see such a mirror of myself in him. Like we're very much mirrors of each other in very important ways, to where it's like I can push him to evolve in certain ways that he wouldn't have done probably on his own, and vice versa. It's like he makes me think about the world differently, and it forces me to like readdress my traumas, childhood, different things. And if it's not awkward or doesn't feel uncomfortable, there's no reason to change, right?
Yeah.
So I like that we kind of challenge each other in that way, and it does feel very opposite a lot of the time.
Yeah.
But then we're very much the same in like kind of our drive and like where we're headed and our goals.
What you guys valued in the relationship.
Goals for our family and a relationship and business. It's like that fits. So I feel like there has to be a mix of both, you know?
Yeah. Well, and it's funny because when I got married, I felt like Gavin was all the things I wasn't. Like, I'm like, oh, he's so kind. He's so giving. He's a lot of things that I really just felt like opposites. And I feel like even while we were married, when we get along, I'm like, oh, I just wish he thought exactly like me. Like, oh, it'd be so much easier. And then the longer we're together, the more I realize I'm like, we are a lot alike.
You guys are a lot alike.
And I like, it's like even so funny now looking back. I'm like, why did I think we were so opposite? But and who's to say, maybe it's just time too, like growing together in a lot of ways that you become very similar in some ways.
That's what I was going to say.
So it could be that too. But I also feel like it's also, so there's like qualities I think that I like that he's different than me. Like I really appreciate that he's better at certain things than me. But then I'm also better at a lot of things in him too. So it's like we are able to kind of help each other in that aspect. But it is funny that the more I'm married, the more I realize I'm like, girl, you're a lot like, I don't know why you thought you were so different. You guys are the same freaking person, middle children.
But I do think opposites, like I do think that concept of like opposites attract is totally real. Like, I think that's like for sure. You want the things that you're kind of lacking.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. So someone who really knows how to do math, that's a plus for me.
What the heck? That's on your list.
Got to be able to do math.
General algebra, please. How did you do in your algebra classes? But I also think it's even like a necessary part of evolution.
100%.
It's like finding someone who is like, better at certain things than you, so you can like further your bloodline from like, from like an evolutionary standpoint.
Someone that's confident enough to check you and be like, hey, are you sure?
Yes.
Are you sure you like this or want to live like this or think this way? It's like, I feel like that's really important for that growing in a relationship, like growing together.
Even how, they have like studies how men are attracted to women with like bigger lips, or like how like certain things that like show that she's a good like, what's it called? Not baby maker.
Fertile.
Things that show that women are fertile. I feel like there is like evolutionary standpoint, like biological, of like finding a partner that is different but also has good like genes healthy to reproduce and to continue the bloodline. It's like, I do think so. I think being attracted to someone that feels opposite towards you is also like a way for you to like improve your bloodline down the line. Like it's biological even. I don't even feel like it's aware of it. Anyway, soulmates.
Do
they exist?
I don't know if I believe in soulmates, because I feel like we have the choice, and because for me, it's like, okay, I've been married, obviously I'm divorced now. So it's like, was he my soulmate? Is he not someone, I don't know. It's just too confusing for me towards it's like, I don't think that there's just one person meant for me.
Yeah.
I feel like we all have the choice to choose our own path, and different paths can lead to different people. And it all just depends on what we want,
I think my definition of like, I think there are soulmates, and that's like friendships, siblings, like even relationships. It's like, I do feel like there's people that we're supposed to come in contact with in life that are supposed to have an effect. And whether it's like bringing on change or providing experiences so you can evolve. I do feel like there are like certain people that I've met in my life that I'm like, oh, I needed this, or like this helped me at that time. And it's not to say it's like, oh, forever. Yeah. It's like talking to Lisette, who we've had on here quite a bit. She always says like any relationship is like for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. I'm like, I really like that. Like not everyone is meant to be in your life forever, but it doesn't mean they weren't important at that point in your life. Yeah. And so I feel like even with my husband, it's like marriage is hard. It's freaking work. You know what I mean? And it's not always pretty. It's like, it's very challenging, but I do feel like we were meant to be together for some reason, because it's on paper, someone might have not linked us up together as like a pair or an option, because we are so opposite in so many ways. But in actuality, I'm like, I think it's a very beautiful thing that we are so opposite, but we're figuring out a way to work, and it still feeds me and helps me evolve, and vice versa. Like,
yeah. No, I agree with that statement. I do think like our soulmates are more like loosely, it's not as like, oh, this is my one person to be with forever. Yeah. I do feel like it's more of like a, like at this moment in time, we're meant to be together. And I, even like being a stepmom and kind of navigating those waters, and with my I love my stepdaughter. Like she is the coolest.
So cool though. She's like really awesome.
I love her mom. Like her mom is really cool. Like, and I look at our dynamic, and it's not a dynamic I was familiar with growing up. And I feel like I was so nervous, even being a stepmom, because I was so young. And I'm like, I have no examples of like how this is supposed to work. Like, is she supposed to hate me? Because that's what I see on TV.
Cinderella set.
Right? Like, yeah, like is she, is the mom going to be cool with me? Like, I was just like so insecure, even just like, and so I feel like for me, I was always like, you know what? I'm like coming in at halftime. I'm just like, however you guys want me to show up, I'm down. And I feel like it was always a value of her mom to be like, no, like, this is like your stepmom. Like we are all connected in this weird way. And I do feel like we have this family dynamic that feels very like meant to be in a weird way. Cause even like, her family, she has 2 other kids with her husband. And when we visit, we all enjoy each other. It kind of feels like visiting cousins, like when our kids are all playing together. Like, obviously, Isley, when she's with our kids, it's like she's with our family. It's that. But it's like when we all, like the 2 families come together, it feels like this is just our family. It feels like a very normal dynamic. And Isley's even said, like, I really she's like, it just feels like I have a lot of adults who care about me. Like it, and it's not all rainbow and butterflies, but I just feel like, our family looks different, but was meant to be different in this way. And it's like so beautiful too.
Yeah.
And like, I love being a stepmom because it's a different experience, but it's also like, she taught me so much about becoming a mother. And it's so cool that we're connected in this kind of cosmic way, but not, I mean, obviously she's not
by blood.
Yeah.
Yeah, not by blood, but it's like we're connected and like we're all soulmates in this weird way. And she's even, it's just, so I don't know.
Yeah. I like that. I think that's really cute.
Okay, next myth. You need a spark.
Definitely. I think so. I mean, you have to feel something for a person, right? Because if you feel nothing, it's like...
Yeah, I mean, yeah, duh. I've tried to date guy friends that I was like, dude, we're like really good friends. And then like we, kissed or whatever. And it was like, yeah, this ain't it. Like I'm trying because I'm like, we get along on so many levels. Like we're friends. Like we like to hang.
That people can function without that spark or that passion or love, but I think we all deserve the spark. You know what I mean? It's why would you want to opt for that when you could have this, whether it's like whatever that means to you, because I think everyone gets like excited in different ways, but whether it's like an attraction or like the chase or like whatever that like spark is in the relationship that keeps you guys both excited and like connected, I think that's what we should all be striving for, like some resemblance of that. And if it's kind of started that way and dissipated, it's like keeping that as a priority in your relationship to keep that spark alive, like that
finding it again.
Yeah, it's basically the really chemistry. Yeah, I agree.
So yeah, I think they're definitely.
And I like what you said. It's like we all deserve that spark. Like you should feel wanted and attracted. Like you should feel like your partner is attracted to you. Like,
well, and you should want to provide that for them too, right? Like totally, and that takes effort and thought.
Thought, exploration. But yeah, no, I've tried to do the old friend to boyfriend, and it never worked out well for me. I tried.
But at least you knew for sure.
I had to give it the college try. I was like, you know what? Let's dip our toes in.
See. YOLO.
And I was like, yep, nope, definitely a no.
Do you want to skip? Let's see. I was trying to see what the other ones are.
Online dating. I feel like that's a good one.
Yeah.
Because so online dating is only for hookups. I mean, online dating came on, like, I feel like all the app things came on after online dating.
I can see how it is used for hookups, but I think that the apps kind of design it as a way to date, but I feel like, obviously some people use it for different reasons. I have been on dating apps. I've signed on to 2 of them. But one thing I've noticed, and again, so it's like it could be used that way, but I think it just depends on the person, like the driver. What do you want from this? Yeah. Because I've noticed that, and I don't know if this is a thing, a lot of the younger guys will fake their age because they purposely want the older girls, but and it's like a thing though.
Wait, they fake their age like they're older?
Like they put it wrong.
Yeah, they'll put the wrong age, and then in their bio they'll say like, "Oh, I'm not actually this age. I'm this age, looking for." Basically want a cougar. Basically,
So men are looking for older women.
Looking.
That's better than them looking for younger women, I guess.
But then you find, some that want the serious thing, and it'll say, "What are you looking for? What are you into?" Some people,
like the app is just a tool.
Yeah, it's a tool, but I'm pretty sure that the majority who use it, it's, very convenient to find someone to hook up with. And especially because it'll link your interests together. Like, oh, you're into this, they're into this, you link, and it's just a matter of you swipe right or left. You know what I mean?
Well, and do you feel like the dates you went on with guys were like you felt like they just wanted to hook up? Or do you feel like when you start talking,
I actually only made it to like 3 coffee dates, and I ghosted all of them just because
my, she's a ghoster.
Wild.
She's not playing hard to get. She's just like, bye.
I could definitely tell, like, weaving out who just wants to hook up. Like, don't waste my time with that. You know what I mean? Like, you don't even get my number if that's what you want.
I feel like I've interacted with a lot of people, like clients, patients, whatever, that have had good success and they found their mate. And especially, I feel like the older we get, it's like hard to find people that are on that same playing field, like you're saying. So it's like, I feel like there's some really good long-lasting relationships that come out of it, but I do feel like you have to be careful because that's a common desire for people in there.
So it's just, if you find someone that has similar intent as you and, you happen to like each other and hit it off, but so far, not yet.
Well, do you feel like you also initiate like a date really soon, or do you feel like you talk a long time before you guys like actually meet in person?
I feel like I need to talk a long time.
Really?
Yes. Well, I'm playing hard to get, and 2, I'm busy. I really value my time. And for me, I feel like on the dating app, whatever it is, I want to be very transparent. This is what I'm looking for. This is what I stand for. You know, if you want my time, you need to get to know me. You need to allow me to get to know you. That pace might take a while because I'm moving.
And you're working. You're a single mom. It's
exactly.
like, it's going to be hard to, you know, I mean, to catch you and take your time away. It's like, if I'm going to invest my time in you, I need to make sure it's worth it.
Exactly.
But I also feel like texting is a time investment.
Yes, totally. It's like
without meeting in person, and then say you meet them in person, you're like, ooh, like, am I even attracted to you? Or so to me, I almost would think the opposite, right? Like you would meet sooner than later, but I hate texting, so it kind of probably depends on your vibe.
Yeah. And I'm busy, so yeah, it's like it's gonna take a longer process, but I don't mind that because again, you can kind of weave through. You can see who's impatient, who's not. You know, you can tell.
Like the Tinder.
Who's all talk?
Yeah, exactly. So we might be getting close on time.
I think so too. Yeah.
What time is it?
12:56.
Oh shoot, my timer didn't go off. Okay, well, let's wrap it up then.
Well, okay, so let's just end with one last one.
Which one?
You'll always love your first love.
Okay.
False.
Yeah.
I know. Sorry, I was thinking about it. Like, you'll always love them. Like,
will you always?
I can appreciate my first love, and I feel like it taught me a lot about what love is, and it's so exciting. But it's like after it was done and I had a new love, it was like, what's your name? Where are you? Like it was like, bye. So for me, I don't think that's true. I don't like think about him like ever.
And I think some people just stay stuck on it because maybe their first love was like their first everything.
They like romanticize it.
Yeah, mine was toxic, so I can't say that I still care about that person.
I think, I can look back on my first, like, I feel like person that I loved and look at that, like, lovingly back. But now, obviously, like, we don't know each other. We're into, like, not even on my
could be
wavelength.
A woman by now.
Yeah, right? Like, it's like...
I'm saying you guys could just be leading drastically different lives.
100%. Like, it's like... But I can look back and be like, oh, I love that person at that time. But, like, I've evolved so much from now till then that, like to
you're
me,
a new version of Brenna.
Realistically, I'm like, would not... Like that, no. Like, it's not that way. But I can look back and be like, oh, I had love for that person.
Yeah.
For sure.
Oh, yeah. Because now, for me, looking back, I was like, I probably wouldn't love that person now. Knowing
well, and maybe
I am
now that you're able to look at it through an adult lens of like, oh, that actually wasn't love. That was that was
passion and excitement. And
and I was so inexperienced at the time.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. Well, this was fun, guys.
All right. Yeah.
Thanks for joining Girl Talk. Stay tuned. We're going to start dropping episodes, I think, a few times a month.
Mm-hmm.
So. Yes, and everyone have healthy relationships out there, and happy Valentine's Day. And if you want to get some love, go online.
Apparently.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Awaken Your Ego, a podcast that explores biohacking and self-discovery. We hope you follow us on Instagram and Facebook to stay up to date on what we're working on in your area.